And we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Hello, Pride League. This is Disabled Vigilantes. I got a guest with me today. A storm is brewing. Representative of the West this time. Go ahead and say hi, Ryan.
What's going on, guys?
All right. Well, it surprises me personally that the West is even relevant right now. I mean, we've had some pretty horrendous owners. I mean, Ryan's a sophomore in this Pride League we have, but he's a veteran in his own right. I mean, I can hear it in his voice that the man loves fantasy football. But I got him here today to share in. I do believe you won last week, no?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You ended up beating up on the rookie a little bit, right?
Yeah, I came down to Monday night, but I think I pulled it off. Jamison Crowder not doing anything was helpful. So
No doubt. I mean, it'd be different if he had a lung injury, but the man was just. He played like most of the snaps, just didn't get any looks.
yeah, he literally just was in every snap and didn't touch the ball, which was he needed the win.
I just want to say it was a wonderful week in fantasy. It was a wonderful week in NFL football. My Texans and I, oh my God, we had a lot of similarities this week. I mean, we're going to dive on into them. I don't want this video to be too long. I want to get your takes on, who's going to win next week. So let me go ahead and start with my, last week predictions. Last week, I didn't do so hot. I only got 2 predictions right. Only 2.
Because you pick every week.
Huh?
Because you've picked against me every week.
Yeah, that's probably. I need to stop doing that, right? I need to stop doing that. So, but let's go with my game of the week. Bull City and Disabled Vigilantes. I mean, Bull City without David Johnson, he's doing what he's got to do, right? He can't help but be a little dismayed by his running back situation, but I think he's made a lot of apt moves to try to fix and correct that deficiency. But this week I was just too rough on him. I just beat him up, little boxing references that we're gonna go through later. But Bull City, valiant effort. I mean, that was one of my predictions that held true. 212 points. I gotta say, that's a record for me.
With 9 out of your quarterback.
Matt Ryan, I had to ditch him. I don't like the situation with Atlanta. I'm sure for playoff purposes, the Grind is Real is going to thank me for giving him that combo of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. He's going to thank me come week 9, 10, stuff like that. But I couldn't pass on Deshaun Watson. I just couldn't do it.
That was a trade that I just do not understand. But hey, he's your boy.
He's my boy. And I crippled myself a little bit, especially on my bench. I mean, I had 4 viable wide receivers, but I knew I wasn't going to get Deshaun Watson, and Garcia knew it too. I wasn't going to get Deshaun Watson without coughing up, and Hogan's better than any wide receiver on his roster. Like, I gave up my worst wide receiver and made him his best wide receiver. It is what it is.
Each their own.
But, I'm having a little difficulty with this right now. Let's go with the Storm is Brewing and When I Dip, You Dips matchup. Now, you had to be a little nervous, especially going into that Monday night matchup, but what do you think got you over the hump when you finally was like, I know I'm going to win this matchup? When was that moment?
Oh, boy. Well, Jamison Crowder's just taking the field help. I felt really good really early on Sunday. Everybody got off to a really fast start, and I mean, you always kind of look at the projected points, and I think it was one of those things that I was projected to win by like 60 at one point, and I'm like, all right, cool, I got this. And then everything just went downhill after the first quarter. Luckily, I got enough, and that was enough to hang on for the win.
Yeah, to stay relevant in the West, you really, really needed that win because, if I had to say so, the grind is real. Definitely might run away with that division if y'all let it. I mean, he had a bad week, one bad week, but he's still top 5 in scoring overall. He's going to be a tough matchup.
He is behind me in scoring, just so.
Okay. Speaking of the grind is real, he had an interesting matchup against the Hunt for Freedom. Now, I had the grind is real winning this matchup. This was one of my 2 predictions held true. What do you think? I mean, is the grind is real? Is he for real? I mean, is he the one that's gonna win your division?
No, simple. I mean, I'm still in the division. I still believe in what I can do. He's got a good team. He lucked out with the whole Zeke ruling, and
he got like 10 rabbits feet off of that one.
Yeah, it still might get him. But I mean, honestly, he's got a good team, but I don't think that it's the best top to bottom.
Okay. Now let's look at the Hunt for Freedom. I mean, he's got the best fantasy player in all of football. Why is he doing so poorly?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I mean, just looking at his roster as I'm sitting here, I actually really like it top to bottom. Bad luck, I'm guessing.
He's been playing some players. That's for sure.
I mean, he's got the 3rd or 4th most points in the league, and is sitting there at 1-3 or whatever he is. Yeah, I mean that's just bad luck. I don't know exactly what you do.
Well, I don't know either, except make fun of him. That's all I can do. I know him a little personally from the military. I can afford that. You're being a little diplomatic, but right now, the only person on his team that's worth the damn is Kareem Hunt. Now, he should have. To me personally, I think you could get a king's ransom for that guy. And I'd have been done did it. And you go ahead and put that in the dictionary. Been done did it. And put a big picture of Aaron Hill right there. That's what I'd have done. I'd have got a king's ransom for that guy. But, one player versus, because he's one injury away. To me, one injury away from barely getting over 100 points a game. You may like his roster from top to bottom, but I don't. I really don't. Kareem Hunt, and then he just made a trade. I think his trade was very favorable in providing him stability.
Yeah, definitely added some depth.
Moving on, let's go with Lazy Pugs versus Chicago Chalupas. Now, Chicago Chalupas is the reigning champ, but I think these 2 teams might be like the worst in point totals ever, and it was on display. I think Lazy Pugs, though, had a really, really good matchup with a lot of his players, and finally Breeze and Thomas went off. I picked Chalupas to win this matchup, but I didn't think he would just lay a goose egg like that. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's pretty sad when 30 of your 74 points come from one player.
A-Rod's a beast, though. A-Rod's a beast. But I don't know. Everybody, Grinders Real had a week like this last week. I'm making fun of both of them liberally. I hope it doesn't happen to me. I'd like to think that my team, overall, if I had 4 players to just drop single digits, I'd like to think the other 7 would just do me some justice and not put up less than triple digits. That's just my way of thinking. But my God, AB throwing water coolers, and this was just a horrible week for superstars. Cam Newton yelling at reporters or just dismissing them because they're female. This was a bad week, I think, for the face of the league. I got this prediction wrong, and thanks a lot, champ, for being a dud. That's all I really want to say with that. Last matchup, I went 2-4 this week. It's hard to predict flawless victory. I think his team just goes on the way of his wide receiver play. If he has great wide receiver play from those top 3, that man's going to have over 150 points. And if he doesn't, he's going to be close to the hundreds. But Miami dies. Oh my God, Miami dies. What can you say about Jeffrey White in that Central Division?
Not a lot. It's
They are the deadliest division we have right now.
2-2 leading the division is, I mean, even the point totals. It's just there's some work to be done there.
In that whole division, it kind of makes me want to transfer over there and be like, I'll see you boys in the playoffs. But that division is prime for the taking. It is just atrocious.
Yeah, I guess the nice thing for these teams, the Kareem Hunt owner, it's at least he's only one game back at 1-3 with the best player in fantasy. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Hope. That's all you can really ask for is hope. So now that we got all the matchups out of the way, I went 2-4, picked horribly. You know I like my segments. Most improved, fantasy stud, and fantasy dud. I'm going to let you take a crack at who you think that I believe are those individuals. Who is my most improved this week?
Oh boy, most improved. I'd have to look a little further back than what I'm looking. I'm going to skip most improved. I will give you your fantasy stud of the 213 with a 9-point quarterback performance. Woo! Has got to be able Vigilantes.
Forgive my Ric Flair. Woo!
And the 9 points wasn't good enough to even stay on your roster. So.
So true. So true. Well, you're correct on my fantasy stud. It has to be Disabled Vigilantes with that historic. I mean, that's the most points put up this year. The most points put up by the entire league this year.
Impressive. It was impressive.
Who's my dud?
I don't know how it could be anybody but Chicago Chalupas and his 74 points. Again, you take Rodgers out and the rest of the roster puts up 40. That is
a 40 burger from like 10 players.
That's not a good week.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look for the champ. Just
not at all.
2 straight losses. This man lost 1 game all of last year. 1 game. And has now lost 2 in a row. He looks like the Patriots, no?
It does look like the Patriots. So you got to wonder if he'll do people still believe in him like people still believe in the Patriots? That's the question.
I don't. A-Rod's a monster. AB's a great fantasy player, but woo, that division's pretty tough too. It may not be the West, but that division's pretty tough too.
It's tough. It's a tough division.
Now, I'm gonna go ahead and give you my most improved, and it's you, bro. You're my most improved. You were one of the bottom 2 teams coming into that week, and not only did you put up 170, you beat the guy you brought into the league. That has to just a little extra stick there. Congratulations, bro. You're my most improved, and it's not only because of last week's performance. I like to look a little into the future, and you're relevant in that Western division, and right now it's the best. So I think all the teams in that division could possibly win, and you're right there. You're my dark horse rising. So
first nice thing you've said about me in 2 years, man. I appreciate.
I do what I can. You're a guest on the show. I can't bad mouth you to your face unless you were my opponent this week, and then I would have no problem. I think that's why Rob Beer has ducked me so late, getting back to me on my invitation. So now we got fantasy stud, dud, and most improved out of the way. Let's go ahead and look into the future of these matchups. Now, I would be a gentleman and start with your matchup, but I can't do that. Let's start with Disabled Vigilantes and Lazy Pugs, the game of the week. This is the 3rd time in a row that I have played a playoff team. Like if the week ended there, they would be a playoff team. This is my 3rd time in a row. Now, this has to be the game of the week because he's tied for first in the West. You want me to win this matchup, I'm sure.
I do.
I'm a soul beast in the East. I mean, who wins this matchup? What do you think?
Well, I agree that it should be game of the week based on the record, but he's got a couple of bye week things he's just got to, and some bad matchups he's got to still kind of figure out. I got you getting this win. I think with your matchups this week from top to bottom, even with the unbelievably one-sided trade that you decided to make, I think you do get the get the W this week.
Now, do you think that trade's going to hurt me in the future? You really do, don't you?
I do. I mean, I feel like you're trading on 1 week's production, and I realize he's your boy, but at the same time,
you're wrong. Not 1 week production. Over the past 2 weeks,
2 weeks
the Texans
production
are the highest scoring team.
I realize that you're also trading the league MVP for a rookie who's 3 weeks into his career. So
you are correct, sir. But I am such a homer. That's the reason why last year I didn't keep Julio Jones and kept DeAndre Hopkins, and now I'm leading with my heart. This is why I can't win a league, because I lead with my heart.
You know,
we're gonna hope for the best here. I also have myself winning. Go ahead.
That's the beauty of fantasy. Everyone manages how they want.
And that's the only way I can do it, bro. Only way I can do it. Now, I had myself winning that one. We got a tougher matchup. We got tied for second in the East, and we got the guy tied for first in the Central. Miami Dice versus Chicago Chalupas. Any way you want to weigh on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than it appears. I honestly think Eli has a good week against a pretty weak Chargers defense traveling across the country with an early kick. I think he'll have his best game of the year. Blunt apparently is the guy again. It just takes Darren Sproles tearing his ACL and breaking his arm on the same play.
Indeed.
Which I don't understand. I think White gets a lot of work tonight in the Patriot. I think he catches just a bunch of passes. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Bucs linebackers are a little banged up tonight. It's going to come down to how much or how off does Aaron Rodgers go, and I actually think he goes off, and I think Chicago Chalupas gets the win.
Oh, we are in agreement, sir. That's 2 for 2 in agreement. I have Chicago Chalupas winning this matchup. I think AB against Jacksonville. Jacksonville arguably has the best secondary in the league. You know what, AB doesn't care. AB doesn't care. He's like, put them both on me, and I'm going to go off. That's how good AB is.
After last week, you got to think he's going to get a ton of catches, a ton of targets.
And he's going to be all over the place. That man might line up in the backfield. So he's going to be all over the place. I think AB bounces back with at least 20-plus points. And with everything said and done, I think Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers are going to accumulate like 60 together. And I think Melvin Gordon, if he's healthy, will do well against this Giants defense. It's just a matter of if that guy can stay healthy. I also have Chicago Chalupas winning this matchup. Let's go to the Grind is Real versus Class C Strippers. Now, I'm a big fan of Classy Strippers, and I think ultimately he will run this Central Division. It's going to be a long shot for me. I just think that his skill as a fantasy football owner, he's much like you, very active in a lot of leagues. I just think that his knowledge and his prowess will vault him ahead of everybody in that Central Division. But I got to say, I don't have him winning this matchup. The Grind is Real is going to pump him up. I mean, he's going to look like one of those shoes with the tongue on it, the depressor, and he's just going to do dunks all over this guy. Phillip Rivers is going to go off against that Giants defense. Please, let me hear what you have to say.
It's funny. I wrote just a little bit, so I didn't come into this just ill-prepared, and I literally wrote pretty much exactly what you just said. You gotta feel bad for Classy Strippers with Cook going down and loses Robinson in the first week. That two early round picks go down for the season and the weeks of the season, and then what does he get He has to look forward to is he's just gonna get pounded by the Grind is Real, and I'm making an early call for next week that this is your dud of the week in 7 days.
Oh my God, that's bold. You're probably right. I mean, he did have some waiver wire action, and he likes to play these games with his roster right now just so he can probably lull his opponent to sleep. No, the Grind is Real is not going to fall for any of that. He's going to play his best players, and I just think matchup to matchup, even if his guys didn't get injured, this would have been a tough matchup for Classy Strippers regardless. It's going to be tough sledding in that Central Division, but luckily, it's the Central Division. So, moving on. We're 3 for 3 right now?
3.
Let's go with the Hunt for Freedom, and down goes Frazier. Now you got a little animosity toward down goes Frazier, I'd imagine. Just
A little bit.
Scooch,
A
just a
little bit.
scooch.
Yeah, he's attacking me and my boy, but
You know, that's fantasy football. That's how I look at it. That's fantasy football. Who do you got winning this matchup?
It's must-win mode for Aaron Hill.
I think it's must-win mode for both of these squads. If down goes Frazier loses another match, it might be a little difficult to climb back up in the West.
Yeah, I agree. I think Aaron has a really good roster. I think he's third in points with a 1-3 record. Of course, it's tough to say if Bradford's going to play or not.
That's such a risky move. I wouldn't have done that.
I read this morning he might be out for the year. So
he should be. I think he's going to Tannehill this. Except instead of Tannehill noticed it in the preseason game, he's going to notice it knee deep in the Bears red zone and then scoop and score. I don't think Bradford should play. I think Minnesota's crazy for putting this guy out there.
And Bridgewater
Hunt for Freedom is crazy for putting this guy on his roster right now.
But so I guess to me is can Jacoby Brissett beat Tom Brady? And
Ooh.
I'm taking Tom Brady. I hate doing it. I think down goes Frazier gets the W.
Oh man, I have to disagree. I don't know what it is about Hunt for Freedom. I love his. I don't know his. It's just something about his rock. His players play for him, and I don't think they would play for anybody else. They would put up goose egg. And last week was a testament when he took that L. None of his players had those breakout 50-yard scores, and it showed. But then he made this trade for Jay Ajayi, and who else was it? Deshaun Jackson? So he's got more big play ability in both of those guys. I think that's what his goal is I want everybody on my team to have 50-plus yard touchdowns every week. It could work for him, but I gave him this win. This is where we differ. I give the win to, and typically I say Aaron Hill, insert shitty name here, because he's changing his name every week. Hunt for Freedom might be something to stick to. It kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. Plus, is the best fantasy player in the league. I say stick with Hunt for Freedom, Aaron Hill. Let's see what we got here. Now we got your boy going up against Bull City. When I dip, you dip. I liked his old name. Maybe it's because I didn't see it live. If I'd have saw Dip fail live,
it was a disaster, man.
Yeah, and the clip was brilliant, but his old name. I want the Moose Knuckles to come back. I want the guy back on the show. I want him on the show, and I want to convince him to bring the Moose Knuckles back. It's a classic name. But
I'll convince him to come on. You get him next week.
I'll see what I can do. I know the man's busy. He's got a lot of people missing from his office. But
hell yeah.
The invite's open to everybody. I'm just glad you responded because I didn't know this guy was going to respond at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then he told me to do it in the evening. So close to the game, I'm already drunk by then. I can't do that. Now, who do you have winning this matchup?
Talk about another bye-week disaster for Bull City. Really nice team, and half of it is at home with their wives and whatever this week. I honestly, just because he's my boy, I'm gonna pick him. I think when I dip, you dip gets the win. I think Winston just has a monster game tonight against that pitiful Patriots defense. Ty Montgomery sounds like he's gonna play with cracked ribs. What a beast you have to be to do that.
But it's so I don't play him. If I'm the fantasy owner with Ty Montgomery and I'm looking at my bench, I'm like, there has to be a guy that I think is going to play more snaps. Because even if he does play, it's going to be limited. This isn't Pee Wee football where you look at the kid and go, you'll grow into it. You're okay. Sprained ankle, you're good. Get back out there, kid. No, this is grown men with their lives on the line. I don't think McCarthy's that much of an animal to make this guy play 80 to 90% of the snaps.
They tend to not play their players when they're hurt, so we'll see. But I guess even with that, A.J. Green, Jordy Nelson, Winston gets to play the Patriots. Bull City's got his entire roster on bye, it looks like.
Ty Montgomery could put up a goose egg, and I'm still picking your boy to win this one. That's how I also feel. But I feel bad for Bull City to have your number one guy go down, and then but he's doing fairly well. But this week, this is one you just marked on the calendar as well. That's an L. That's an L. So, yeah, your boy gets this easily. Now, the matchup you've been waiting for. You're going up against a guy in the Central Division that has shown flashes in flawless victory. How do you feel he'll do this week against you?
Well, there's still a few bye week things there to be addressed. Not exactly sure how that roster is going to finish out, but honestly, DeMarco is not the DeMarco Murray that we're used to the last few years. I mean, Sammy Watkins against Seattle's D. Goff looks like the real deal, but it's all over the middle, and Watkins is the outside guy. He's not getting outside of the one game. He just doesn't get the looks that he should.
I think he will. He will later in the season.
So too. I don't think it comes this week. I don't think T.Y. Hilton shows up at home against the Niners. Believe it or not, their defense has been decent. And Dak Prescott is what I'm looking at, but I think Des Bryant, who I'm starting, cancels out a lot of that production. I'm giving myself the win.
All right. Well, I'm agreeing with you. I think we had one disagreement.
We did.
One disagreement, and I hope we are spot on with our agreements because I think a storm is brewing. I love the Leonard Fournette pickup. That was probably a big gamble by you in the draft, but it paid off because I'm a firm believer that rookie running backs don't do well on shitty teams. And if I think Blake Bortles' production is just so entwined with Leonard Fournette. That's a risk for me. But it's been panning out. Leonard Fournette has been your workhorse back. And if Amir Abdullah can stay healthy, I think you got a nice tandem there.
I think he picked up where he left off last week.
Okay. I mean, against Carolina and those linebackers, that's a tough matchup regardless. And even if he doesn't show up like he did last week, and as long as he doesn't face a major injury, he's gonna be fine. I like your backfield almost
he just had the same last week against Minnesota though too. So.
Yeah. That's true, and he still showed out.
Yeah.
Your backfield is great. It's not as good as my backfield, but your backfield is great.
Well, when you miss a draft a year ago, it's pretty hard to come up with a decent number of keepers. So I did what I could. I pieced together a team, and we're good.
I don't think you'll have that problem this year. I think you'll have significant keepers this year.
I like my team, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, those are our picks. Now, I got the poll up there. I think I already got your answer. Who do you think is going to win the West Division?
I mean, I can't say anybody but myself, can I? I'll sit here and give you who I think will finish second.
Okay, go ahead. Give me that. Who's the next best team in the West?
I believe that the Grind is Real is the second best team in the West. Again, the Ezekiel news pending. If the dude plays 16 weeks, trading waiver wire to Deshaun Watson for MVP Matt Ryan really helps that team out. And
picked up Chris Hogan too.
And Chris Hogan. Yeah, I think he finishes second in the West.
I'm sorry for making your division just that much harder, but I was going to pick up Deshaun Watson. I really was. I should have just dumped Tyler Eifert like I had intended to and just picked him up. Instead, I had to give up an enormous amount of depth to do that, and I that's my faux pas right now. I'm so sorry.
I give you credit for at least plugging him in right away. Like I don't think you can give up what you did and then let him ride the pine.
I was this close. I like Stafford. I like Stafford in his matchup. I was this close. But if my opponent's going to play Alex Smith, then head to head, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. So
It's quite a contrasting matchup there.
we're gonna make it work though. I guess I can afford that. I have 650 points for the year, and there's nobody in the 600s. I mean, I'm lapping some of these guys. Like I could probably sit out 2 weeks and still have the same amount of points.
You tried sitting out 1 week and you lost to me, which was nice.
No, my friend. I did not sit out. I scored 147 points. You just showed up. Yeah. Why you gotta bring up old stuff? Why you gotta bring up old stuff?
I couldn't sit here with you face to face and not at least take one shot.
That's good, because I'll be taking shots at y'all all day, every day. But I think, well, we probably should cut this video short. I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your day, coming on, and letting everybody know the real a storm is brewing and how you feel and your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Anytime. Love to do it again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And if you keep showing out, like Dion says, you ball, you get the call.
I'll ball. Don't you worry about that.
All right, man. Peace out, and to everybody in the Pride League, I hope everything goes well for y'all. If not, oh well. Better luck next week. And Lazy Pugs, you're going down, my friend. We'll get you on the show a little bit later. We'll work out the kinks of response and delegating times. But I appreciate you, Ryan. Thanks for coming on the show. Everybody, I'ma holla. Peace.